Hey, patrons, thank you so much for listening to this podcast of Build the Wall. I know it's been a while, but I wanted to give you an update. I apologize for being so MIA over the last couple of months. Just wanted to give you an update. I went to Podcast Movement in late July, early August, and man, I was leaving Nashville so pumped. Like, I just had all kinds of cool ideas, but I also left with a cold. And I have basically been sick from August 2nd until about 2 weeks ago. I'm a person that has never really been sick in my life for more than 3 or 4 days with a cold. Maybe I'll get a cold every year until obviously the toddler entered my life. She's almost 3. And now, of course, daycare and the school, and I'm just sick all the time, I guess, from that. But, I left Podcast Movement just pumped with all kinds of ideas that I'm still going to enact. But man, it just started with that. Then I got COVID. And I'll be honest, Podcast Movement was a very uncomfortable experience. I went to the Indy 500, which was the largest gathering of people since the beginning of the pandemic, felt absolutely no discomfort whatsoever. But I went to Podcast Movement held in the Delta wing of the Grand Ole Opry in Nashville, the Gaylord Opryland Hotel. And it was a very uncomfortable experience. And then Phil Hendry, radio legend, ended up passing away from it there. I was exposed to it a couple times. A couple people tested positive that I deeply interacted with. I did not catch it there. My fiance went to a convention and there was a woman that showed up that was vaccinated that didn't think she could catch COVID and brought it to the convention and basically gave it to everyone that came to that, including my fiance, and brought it home to me. And I will be frank with you, COVID, the Delta variant was twice as bad as the classic. It took me probably I was really down. I mean, it is the most, like, the whole, I had it in April of last year and it was kind of like a bad cold. So after early April of last year, kind of just didn't pay much attention to it. I'm like, I don't know if I can catch it again, but I've had it. I've got some antibodies. So YOLO, let's go out to dinner. I'll start living our life. I'm from here in Indiana, where the pandemic ended by July 4th of 2020. And, going to Florida a couple times. And so, when the Delta thing came around, I was like, crap. So, I wasn't that worried about it, but I have to be honest, the Delta variant was really severe. My fiance and I got it at the same time. Thankfully, our baby girl did not have it. She didn't have any symptoms. Hopefully she's got some antibodies left over from when she had it pretty bad last year. And if you and your partner haven't had COVID at the same time with a full energy 3-year-old, I don't advise it. I mean, making a grilled cheese sandwich was a task that would then put you down for a nap for 2 hours. I mean, the days of, is it COVID or allergies are long gone, like, and so it just takes, it takes so much out of your body. The first day you sort of just feel super disoriented and really weird and just like off and, more tired than you've ever been in your life. Like, it literally felt like I was going to die. I literally felt like my body was shutting down. It was just terrible. Terrible headache, terrible fatigue, terrible dizziness. The next day, I didn't have the dizziness or the headache anymore. I had horrible joint pain. And it just started, it was like literally with every heartbeat, someone taking a hammer to your joints. I had one friend that had it, and he said he just like would turn over and scream into his pillow. So it's really weird. And then the next day I had a really horrible, like the worst sinus infection of my life. And I woke up the day after and it was totally gone. I kept my taste, lost my smell. I still don't have, I got this around middle September 15th. Today is October 27th. I still do not have my smell back. I will occasionally smell some things. I'll get a whiff of something, but it's not back fully. I never lost my taste, thankfully. Some would say I never had any to begin with. But yeah, then I just had the heart racing issues. I mean, my heart rate was 120 resting for 3 or 4 days. Pretty strongly, getting up and walking to the bathroom, I'd be up to 130, which, for me, if I'm at the gym and I'm on the treadmill, I'm walking 3.5 miles an hour on flat road, I'm probably at 120. And if I take the incline up to like 6, I'm getting up to 130, 135. So, that was kind of a scary thing, and really debated going to the hospital at that point. But my doctor was just like, there's nothing they can do with you. I'm not impressed with my doctor's performance, which you'll hear in an upcoming podcast with my new insurance guy, talking about just how healthcare is failing us and how we can kind of manage it differently to save some money and get better healthcare for ourselves. So it probably by day 10, kind of, the symptoms were all kind of going away, but the fatigue really lasted for a couple more weeks. And then we had to move. My fiance moved out of her place in late August. I moved in late September. So moved out of the luxury apartment, put all my stuff. We put her stuff in a storage unit, some of my stuff, all my books, my beloved books, my 2,000 books I've been scanning in my library, which has been a labor of love, moving them to the new place. And if you've ever moved with books, especially a large book collection, you know how miserable that can be. But I am fortunate that we moved, because the moving and the physical activity of that kind of got my body out of it, because for 2 weeks you're just moving boxes and moving furniture and carrying things up and down flights of stairs. And I was so physically exhausted by the end of that first week, but it kind of finally got my energy back to where I've been. And then obviously I had to rebuild the studio, rebuild everything. So these are all excuses that I hope you find to be valid for not really being on my own show for 3 weeks. But I cannot thank Hody and Trisha and Rimzo and everybody that kind of helped out while I just couldn't get to my own show. I didn't have anything to say to you. I hadn't read any news. The reality is that you just, you're so tired you can't even focus on television. You can't read, so you think that you're just kind of laying around. But yeah, I was sick for like a good 3 to 4 weeks with COVID. My oxygen never got below 99, 98. I never had breathing issues. It was just extreme fatigue. It was probably the greatest test of my lungs and heart that I've dealt with. And I have absolutely no doubt that if I had stayed 330, I'm now 250. I lost about 10, 15 pounds on COVID and have kept those off, fortunately, because you just don't eat for a week. I have no doubt that if I were 330, I would have been in severe trouble. I started to get healthy, or as healthy as I can be. Let me see if I can find this quote, because it was really, I think it reminded me of that. It was Mark Sisson, who was on the Joe Rogan show back in the day. So he was on there, and he said, as you get older, it becomes more and more important to maintain muscle mass. People don't die because of old age. They die of organ failure because something wasn't keeping up with the body. The typical old age scenario is 75 or 85-year-old man or woman that hasn't done anything active for years. There's no muscle mass. Because there's no muscle mass, they haven't done anything active. There's no bone density. The bones go, hey, I don't need to build a structure because this clown isn't going to the gym and doing anything to require it. I'm going to save the resources and not build bone density. The muscles are not building bone mass. Now the heart is going, this is easy. I can pump blood all day at 5% or 15% of my volume. The lungs go, hey, there's no requirement for excess oxygen. This clown is just sitting around all day watching TV, doing the minimal activity. So the lungs sort of ceasing to function at full capacity. Same with the liver. Same with the kidneys. As you go down this path, then you get up one night to take a leak and you trip over the cat, fall and break your hip because your bone density sucks. And now you wind up in the hospital. You get pneumonia and you die because the lungs can't expel the sputum or the heart can't keep up and you die of congestive heart failure. It's a very typical scenario. It all goes back to creating a need for the body to want to change. I don't know what year I heard that. I think it was 2017. I was down to like 290 around 2017. I down from 330. When I tested for prediabetes on like a life insurance test, I was, when I moved out of my apartment with my ex-wife and I'm packing up my food, it's all like microwavable cheeseburgers from Sam's Club. And it was just this terrible food. Started working at Bob and Tom with like all these healthy, super healthy people. Started watching what they ate, started eating better, quit, eating as much sugar. And, just on diet alone kind of dropped that. And then in 2017, after hearing that, I was like, it just scared me. And so I started going to the gym, got a trainer, started going to Orange Theory for a year or two. And really like it started to I dropped another 30 pounds based on activity. And I'm really thankful because my heart, if you watch the Spike Lee documentary on 9/11, the first episode's about COVID and what happened in New York City at the beginning of COVID, and it was just terrible. This one paramedics just saying, these cardiac arrest calls, it was just like one every 15 minutes, and it was like a 15-year-old kid and a 25-year-old guy and a 40-year-old woman, and just this idea that only old sick people, 400-pound people are getting COVID and having issues with it is not the case. That is by and large the people who are passing away. My mom is in the ER. She has told me nothing thanks to HIPAA laws, but I just know that it is a lot of elderly people and obese people, but there are the weird like 25-year-old marathon runners in there. And I think, I'm no doctor, but I just think that the spike proteins get in there and there's a lot of them and it just sort of gums things up. And I just am appreciative that I in 2017 started working on my physical health, working on building my lungs and heart. I kind of let that lapse a little bit this summer. So I'm nowhere near my peak physical shape for me. And when it was met with a test, it was really kind of one of those wake up calls. Like, this is not going to get easier the older you get. So you really need to get to the gym and you need to build that bone density and you need to build up your immune system and you need to build, keep losing weight so your knees don't hurt as much. I'm 38 now, so it's not going to get a lot better. So I would just say to you guys, I'm putting this more personal one here in the Patreon for you guys. I would just say, prepare your body, get the vaccine. Don't get the vaccine. I'm a podcaster. I'm not your doctor. I'm not going to tell you what to do in regards to that. I understand both sides of this issue. I've made my decision on it. I'm not going to talk about it anywhere. Because I want to be the one person that didn't tell you what my vaccination status is. It's just not your business, and you don't need to know, and I'm not going to do anything that influences anybody's decision on this particular issue. I don't care if that's checking out of the debate. I frankly just think that there's more stuff to talk about in this world than vaccines, trans people, and cancel culture. But I do think that if you should think about, at least wrestle with, and I know most people who are unvaccinated have wrestled with the idea of getting it or not. And I certainly had long conversations with my doctor about it, and friends and family, and trying to figure out what to do. But that's a form of protection, but the best protection is eating. Well, I'm not going to say the best protection. Even if you're fully vaccinated and you have a booster, you can get this. I got it from a fully vaccinated person, right? So COVID's not going away. It's not going to disappear if every single person gets vaccinated. I'm sorry. It's just not going to. Let's use our common sense. Your vaccine and immunity, it was just based. I got so much crap from somebody for saying like, okay, so I got it in April of last year. My immunity no longer counts, but your vaccine immunity is going to be permanent. That doesn't make any sense. They're like, you just don't understand science. Okay, so now I saw that person recently. I was like, hey, you remember when? So I am a I told you so person. I'm not above it. I'm petty. I'll be petty about it. That's fine. But you know, you need to prepare your lungs and your heart and your kidneys and your liver and your pancreas and your brain and everything for this, and just make sure that you go out there and exercise them. Eat right. Eat good food. Get yourself prepared. We don't talk enough about that. We don't talk, you know, if you somehow tell people that getting your body in good shape is a necessity in fighting COVID, you're seen as some sort of weird anti-vaxxer, and I just don't buy that. But I'm telling you, I would just encourage everybody that's listening to my voice to just you know, like Hulk Hogan it, take your vitamins and say your prayers. So moving forward, kind of where we're at with the network, we are almost sold out in terms of advertising, which is awesome, because what that allows me to do is to pass that money on to our hosts. So people like Brian Nichols, Remzo Martinez, Trisha Stewart, Caleb Franz, they don't get paid to do this. Your patronage goes to pay for the network. I don't get paid to do this. So when we get advertising dollars, that money goes into our pockets. It's pay. Why do I feel like that's going to come in some sort of like IRS trial? Me saying that out loud. I should mark this one like do not listen, very private. But yeah, I mean they like Caleb's podcast Profiles in Liberty is like a chapter in an audiobook, and there's 6 of them, and it's so well written and researched and well executed, and I can just tell how much work he's put into that and how many hours went into it. And I know the advertisements can be annoying to a lot of our listeners. We've taken a little bit of a hit in adding advertisements in terms of our downloads, but I also think there's a couple other things there. I think industry-wide, podcasting download formulas have massively changed, and nobody's talking about it. I watched like the analytics of 25 different shows, and everybody is down significantly. So there's something there, but I also think that just there's a lot of ads. But that's how these guys get paid for the work. Brian Nichols is I'm not going to say he's an idiot. He's a psycho. He's doing 7 episodes a week. He's doing a daily show and not even taking weekends off. Like, that's crazy. And I don't mean this disrespect. I'm in awe of it. That is a tremendous amount of dedication and work, far more than I have. So I'm happy that his downloads reflect a nice chunk of change when we get advertisements. So thanks to everybody that advertises. We just ask that you support those advertisers. You guys get the shows ad-free for the most part here. So, you know, maybe flip over to the other channel. Here's who's advertising, or look in the show notes and go support those folks and tell them that you heard the ad on We Are Libertarians, because it really does help us a lot and it helps us grow. I'm just really proud of everybody, you know, Remzo and Brian and Trisha and Hody, Caleb. They're all doing a great job with their shows, you know, and we're just about to start recording some new Liberty Explained episodes. We've got Podcasting and Platforms that has rolled out. You can go listen to that. That's my new show about podcasting. And the History of Modern Politics is... I apologize that we were late on that and we're now off schedule on that, but I had COVID and we were set to record today. Matt Whitliff has COVID now, so we're going to be a little delayed on that. So my apologies on that. So But that airs publicly in early January, and we've gotten some great feedback from you guys on that, and we really appreciate hearing that. We weren't sure if anybody was listening, and then we got some really nice notes on it. And we're about to add a new show called Paradox, Paradocs, and it's by a man named Eric Larson, who is a doctor in Michigan, in Grand Rapids. And, healthcare is the number one topic that people want to hear about. Eric is a libertarian. He is non-COVID crazy. Like he believes COVID is real. He's not an anti-vax doctor. This is not like a shocking alternative medicine type podcast. He's genuinely interested in improving the healthcare system, improving the lives of listeners, improving the health of his patients, while also being skeptical of and questioning the not only government policy but the entire industries themselves that govern healthcare from a really informed aspect. Like, if you want to know whether or not you should get the vaccine, like, go listen to him. Like, I'm not going to tell you what to do, but Eric Larson you should listen to. So look for that in the coming months. We're going to add him to the network, and I'm really excited about that because I had a couple conversations with him. Super great guy. A neighbor of Justin Amash, actually. So that's pretty cool. But that is one change that is coming. And I just wanted to give you an update of where I was. Trust me, I have felt so bad not being here and producing, and left you guys a note, at least so you knew what was going on. It just like, I hate that people give Patreon money for me producing content and then not doing it for a month or two. And I just couldn't. I hope that you'll, I ask forgiveness, and I hope that you'll grant that of me. But I'm certainly not quitting. We're spinning it all back up, and I've already got a couple shows in the can ready to get it rolling again, meeting with Harry and Reinhold again on Saturday. So we're back to work, and I just wanted to thank you for your support. Thank you for supporting us through my little break here while I get my life settled and back together. But I love you guys. I just really can't thank you all enough. The We Are Libertarians podcast and audience has just been the love of my life, in a non-sexual way. Sometimes sexually, but I'm not going to tell you any stories. But, I met Reagan in early 2019, and we started dating kind of shortly after that. And, she had a young kid, and Squish is almost 3. She'll be 3 here in the next month or so, and just has become my daughter too, and has 3 great parents that love her, and as opposed to just 2. I mean, basically, she just has a better parenting structure than you 2-parent kids. That's all I'm gonna say. But Reagan, we are getting married on December 4th. We're going down to a beach in Florida, and then we'll take our honeymoon a week or so later. So December I'll be a little spotty again. Please forgive me. I don't know why I thought I would get married, plan a wedding, move, get COVID, start businesses all at the same time. But trust me, I crashed and burned a little bit here. But I'm super excited about that. For those of you who have supported me and supported We Are Libertarians and have listened to my struggles, I just wanted to say, like, I'm in a really great place. Yeah, I want you to know that, like, if I get hit by a bus tomorrow, just know that I went out on top. So I am just beyond thrilled to get married, beyond thrilled to move in with Squish and Reagan, and we are just having a great time. And I'll tell you what, it's hard to do a libertarian podcast when you're content, because you're not that angry young man that doesn't get laid anymore. Not that I'm having sex. We're waiting till marriage, and I'm not joking about that. I'm dead serious about it. You can ask my friends, but the promise is there. The promised land is just over the horizon here. It's one thing to do a podcast and rant against society and want to start a revolution when you have like nothing going on in your life. But it's another thing to like want to lead a revolution when you are so happy with how things are turning out. Which is why I just don't buy like all this insurrection talk. Like, I definitely think there was an insurrection on January 6th, but like the week after, nobody showed up. Cause like, are all these neo-reactionary dudes really just gonna walk away from their families for the next 40 years and like give up their F-250s and their garage? And, you know, like, no, but they're not, they're comfortable. It's, you know, if we ever get to a point economically where people are not comfortable, that's when you really do need to worry. Yeah, I'm just beyond thrilled with where I'm at in life, and just wanted to thank everybody for their support, because it's meant a lot to me and my new family. So thank you so much. Thank you for the opportunity to run this podcast network and to host my shows and to do something I love. I couldn't do it without you guys, and I just really appreciate it. So thank you so much, and keep supporting the We Are Libertarians podcast network, and I will see you again soon.